There used to be a time when gamers were infatuated with cavemen and all things prehistoric. The store shelves were filled with multiple versions of Chuck Rock, Bonk, Joe and Mac, and Caveman games. Lately, it seems that these lovable Neanderthals have gone out of style, completely passed over in favor of medieval knights and badass army men. But that drought may be coming to an end, because today we're taking a look at Caveman Warriors, a brand new multiplayer action game that evokes the spirit of old platformers like Big Nose and Prehistoric 2. Will JanduSoft be able to make cavemen cool again? Let's find out. This is the story of what happens when aliens invade a quiet village and kidnap a bunch of toddlers. This obviously angers the townsfolk, forcing a group of 4 brave warriors to run, jump, and fight their way through the hostile prehistoric environments to save the kids and kick alien butt. Somebody has to teach these space jerks a lesson. The developers are quick to point out that Caveman Warriors is inspired by games like Joe and Mac, Metal Slug, Castle Crashers, Trine, and New Super Mario Bros. And it shows. The idea is to choose from one of 4 characters and battle your way through a bunch of fairly straightforward 2D stages. You'll have to club enemies, jump over bottomless pits, avoid spikes, pick up items, and fight powerful boss creatures. And before you ask, yes, there is a de facto minecart stage where you shoot at a Terminator wannabe, obviously. While Caveman Warriors was designed as a 4-player party game, it's actually a lot easier to play this game by yourself. Instead of being locked in as only one character, we're able to switch between the 4 cave people on the fly. What I like is that they're all a little different. There's Jack, the noble smasher with a powerful axe. Liliana, who has a spear that can be thrown for long-range attacks. Mo, a shaman with a boomerang. And Brienne, a tall and beautiful woman that fights with a giant piece of meat. It's nice that these 4 characters aren't just carbon copies of each other. You'll occasionally run into obstacles that only one of the warriors can overcome, such as walls that require Liliana to throw a spear to give the crew an extra step. You'll also find that certain heroes are better for beating bosses than others, so you'll constantly be switching back and forth between different characters. This is handled well, and it's one of the things that sets it apart from all the other Caveman games. Unfortunately, the level designs simply aren't as interesting as the 4 characters. The stages are split into several lengthy sections, each separated by a checkpoint that refills your health and lives. The problem is that if you die 4 times before reaching the next checkpoint, you'll have to start the level over from the very beginning. This is especially annoying when learning how to defeat the individual bosses. If you don't memorize the pattern quickly enough, you'll have to spend another 15 minutes working your way back to the boss. That sucks. It doesn't help that the obstacles aren't very creative. Caveman Warriors covers a lot of familiar ground, especially when it comes to the platforming puzzles. There are moments when the game flirts with originality, but those are quickly stamped down in favor of the usual conveyor belts and floating platforms. It would have been nice to see the developers find more opportunities for using each character's special abilities in more inventive ways. That said, the action in Caveman Warriors is fast and a lot of fun. I like that you have to switch between characters in order to make it past certain bad guys safely. And there are just enough abilities between the 4 to keep things fresh. There's also a lot more going on than I initially thought, with all kinds of secrets and hidden levels scattered throughout the game. Couple that with the exciting boss fights and chaotic 4-player action, and you're in for a pretty good time. Despite the lackluster level designs and dickish checkpoint system, I had a fun time with Caveman Warriors. It plows a lot of familiar ground and never really does much with a cool concept, but it's also a great multiplayer game with a lot of exciting moments. And while it probably won't spawn a new generation of Caveman games, I love that there's a developer still fascinated by prehistoric times. Hey, thanks for watching our review. So here's the question of the day. What Caveman series do you want to see make a comeback in 2018? That's a tough one. While I love Joe and Mac, I think I'd probably go with Bonk. Or maybe Chuck Rock, but only if it's a BC Racer sequel. In other news, have you had a chance to check out our list of Electronic Gaming Monthly's top 10 best reviewed games of 1993? It's an epic countdown featuring 16 games. I know that seems weird since it's a top 10 list. We'll be back next week with a look at the worst reviewed games of 1993. I recommend you smash that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,